Namaste. This is Nataraj Pillai. I'm going to talk about the project-based assignment for the Industrial Aerodynamics course. In this, we will discuss about how to do the project-based assignment. We know that we have already studied in the Industrial Aerodynamics course the various characteristics of wind turbines or wind energy collectors like vertical axis wind turbine, horizontal axis wind turbine, and so on. In the second chapter, we have studied the flow over a low rise building, medium rise building, and high rise buildings, and also the flow over the automotive vehicles, cars, trucks, and so on. Now, in the third chapter, we have studied something on vortex induced vibration, galloping, buffeting, fluttering, and those phenomena we have studied. In the fourth chapter, we have studied the industrial gas turbine, the application of industrial gas turbine. So, in this project based assignment, we are going to study the recent research in terms of the project. Say, let us start. Now, the project based assignment, we have already decided that this will be equivalent to the CAA 3. So, this also carries totally 50 marks, right? I will share the rubrics in the later slides. Usually, a project need not to be a software or a hardware. So, it can be a design project, and in this course, I recommend you to do this based on the previous research. That means previous literature you can consider, and then you can do your project. The aim of this project based assignment is to introduce the recent research in the area of industrial aerodynamics, which will be very much useful for your future projects as well as the master's courses. Now, let us see what process we need to follow in order to carry out this project based assignment. First, choose one paper from the list of journals which focuses on industrial aerodynamics. I will share the list of journals in the coming slides. You need to select one research paper from the listed journals. Then you need to go through that paper. I understand that it is very difficult to understand the full paper at once, but it is possible to go through and learn what they have done. So, first point is you need to discuss the goal of their research. You need to document everything. Then the next point is about the methodology they have followed. We already know in our area of study we have experimental study, numerical study, theoretical study. For example, if it is experimental study, we do the experiments in the wind tunnel, measure pressure, force, and all those things. So, such methodology you need to document. Whatever the methodology followed in the paper, that you need to document. Next point, what are all the parameters they have considered? For example, I would like to say when you do a flow over a circular cylinder in the aerodynamics lab, you have considered the surface pressure. The surface pressure on the surface at the regular intervals. So, such pressure you have measured and you have drawn the Cp versus theta, and then you have calculated the coefficient of drag, coefficient of lift, turbulence intensity, and so on. Say, in this case, I will say the parameters are the surface pressure, the coefficient of drag, coefficient of lift, the separation point, and then, if possible, you can go through the signals and you can calculate the spectrum, and that spectral characteristics will say the shedding frequency. Then you need to go through the results and discussions mentioned in the paper. You need to have a common understanding of the graphs and plots made in the literature, made in the paper which you have collected, right? Also, once the results and discussion, see, the results and discussion should be based on the parameters. Then you need to go to the conclusion, what they have concluded based on their study. Now the conclusion may be pointed out. They usually give the conclusions, and in any research paper, if you see the conclusion, before the conclusion or at the end of the conclusion, they say the limitations of this present paper. So the research gap they usually mention. If not, we can identify the research gap. Research gap is nothing but whatever they have done and what we can do further based on that particular research. That automatically become a research gap, and your idea can become the proposal, that is the next level. You may propose something like, have some device in order to delay the flow separation on the circular cylinder. But the point here is, in this project you need to justify your design. So in this process, you know very well that you need to choose a paper and you need to discuss the goal of their research. You need to document what methodology they have followed. Please don't simply copy what they have mentioned in the paper. You please write your understanding, and there are certain things which is beyond our understanding at this level, that is okay. And parameters they have considered, definitely you can understand the parameters. Then results. Now let me discuss about the journals you can consider for this assignment. I don't want you to choose any predatory journals simply from the Google. Hence, I have listed the list of journals. Say, let us say Journal of Wind Engineering and Industrial Aerodynamics, International Journal of Heat and Mass Transfer, Aerospace Science and Technology, Chinese Journal of Aeronautics, Progress in Aerospace Sciences, European Journal of Mechanics, B, Fluids, Acta Astronautica, Engineering Structures, or any other SCI journals listed in the sciencedirect.com. Shastra has subscribed a huge number of journals for our usage. I recommend all the students to follow the sciencedirect.com and download the journals. If you have any issue, please let me know. Thank you. Then, I want to share some of the hints on the topics you need to consider. Say somebody asks, sir, what topic I need to follow? Let us say, what are the keywords I can search in the sciencedirect.com? Let us assume. Say horizontal axis wind turbines, vertical axis wind turbines, which is really a very strong research area in the recent years. Then building aerodynamics. You can talk about the low speed low rise building, medium rise building, high rise building, flow over the building, pressure distribution over the building, force measurement over the building. Then ground vehicle aerodynamics. Here it can be a car aerodynamics, truck aerodynamics, or train aerodynamics. There are a lot of research papers available. Then the effect of Reynolds number becomes an important point in our industrial aerodynamics. You can also search on that area. Strohal number, of course. Then vortex induced vibration. Then buffeting, galloping, fluttering. Then industrial gas turbines, design and development. All these are just keywords. I take these keywords from our syllabus, and hence you can consider that. Now let me come back to the assessment. So all our this project based assignment will be assessed based on the following rubrics. 1. Thorough knowledge on goal or necessity of doing the concerned study. Say you have considered a paper, and from the paper you need to talk about these goals and necessity of doing that study. Then the second point, it carries 10 marks, and the second point, let us discuss something like, the methodology used in the existing research, that carries another 10 marks. Third one, the discussion on parameters considered and their results and their behavior or characteristics, that carries 10 marks. And the fourth one, identification of the research gap. You can mention the research gap mentioned in the particular paper, and you should also give your view on that research gap, whether it is really a research gap or whether it is really need to be done or so. So, or in certain paper you may think that, sir, there is no research gap mentioned. That is also fine. You should find the research gap now. So, finding a research gap or identifying a research gap carries 10 marks. Then, proposal for the future. It is based on your thinking. It is based on your thinking, but you can consider that base paper. So, totally the assignment carries 50 marks. I hope this will be very useful for you to prepare the project based assignment. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.